Everything you know about David and Goliath is absolutely wrong. This story gets told every single week in Sunday school since ever, and we miss the whole point. My name's Craig and this is Morning Star Quest, and this is your journey through the Bible for beginners. I don't know how many times I have read this story. I have seen this story. I have seen this story told in movies. As 6'4", I was Goliath in a play.
I want to fight you, little man.
Did you just call me a little man? That's very offensive for a very tall...
And I thought I understood this story as a little guy with a little bit of faith in God could overcome mountains. And if you think that that's the story, you've got it absolutely and totally wrong. This is the story of David and how he becomes king. Now, to get a bit of a picture here, we have a valley, and on either side we have two hills. Now, these two hills have the Israelite army and they have the Philistine army. Now, the problem here, there's a bit of a stalemate, because if any one of those armies were to go first, they would then be on the lower side in the valley. And of course,
It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground.
so it doesn't matter who goes first, they are at a disadvantage. So they want the other side to go. Of course, they are at a stalemate. Now, to fix this, the Philistines come out and they say, we have our champion Goliath, who is undefeated. We'll see who wins. The winner takes the spoils. The losers are slaves. Now, when Goliath comes out, he absolutely mocks not just the Israelites, but their God, your God, my God. Now, of course, Goliath is undefeated at this point. So Goliath stands there and says, it's on like Donkey Kong. Game over. Then this is where David comes on the scene. He's small of stature and basically a contrast of everything that is Goliath. Now, the other thing is here, we think David is the underdog. He's not. He comes in and he says, I am highly skilled with a sling and I can kill lions, I can kill bears, and I've proved it, and I've even killed them bare hands. Then Saul, who is the king at that time of the Israelites, you can give it a go, and he puts on Saul's armor. Now, Saul's armor represents what we think is the worldly means or the way we tackle things. But that's not how David is having it. And probably with that, we get a little bit confused with what this story really is about. Now, to understand this story fully, we need to go back to Genesis, back in the garden. Now, Adam and Eve had just tasted the fruit of the tree from the knowledge of good and evil. And it's at this point that God turns to the serpent that deceived Adam and Eve and says these words, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head and you will strike his heel. Now, if we fast forward back to David and Goliath, David is not you against a big corporation or a big problem. This is foreshadowing Jesus and his battle with Satan. David and Goliath is Jesus and Satan. And there are so many symbols here, like the 5 stones that David picks up from the river is the 5 wounds that he will receive on the cross. This is where he will be struck on the heel, on the cross. And one of the things I find so interesting is they want to describe Goliath with his armor. Goliath's armor is scale armor. What is a scale? It is part of a skin of, well, it could be a fish, but also a snake or a serpent. And the biggest thing that I found with this story is I always put myself as David, but it's not, it's Jesus. Where are we? We are cowering in the tents, waiting for our Saviour, who is Jesus. And the great thing is we now have hindsight that Jesus has saved us. He has been resurrected on the cross. Satan has been defeated. For the Israelites, David is their champion. For us, Jesus is our champion. And we see Goliath as the problem, this huge tank of a man that is in our way. But that's not the point. I mean, he is slow. He's like a tank. He is heavy. He even asked David to come to him because he can't get to David. Everybody was focused on Goliath, and Goliath is not the one to be focused on. It's David, Jesus. Now I know you want to get into the Bible more, but then you read Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. They conflict each other. Well, I want to go through that in this video and explain it, and you'll be amazed. Go do something awesome for God, and I'll catch you in the next one.